actually to people in NC to listen, to sit here and enjoy the wonderful evening. Again, I'll just keep on the theme of Richard Lovell Edgeworth. And he was married 4 times, and he felt he couldn't live without being married, because when his first wife died, within 12 months he had married again. And his second wife, Nora, died of consumption. We lived here in this house. And on her deathbed, she asked her husband, Richard Lovell, if he would marry her sister. So, and it was frowned on by the Church of England at the time, but they found a way around it and they married. And it was a very happy marriage. And he had 22 children altogether. And he married his final wife, Frances Beaufort, on the 31st of May, 1798. So it was a revolutionary time here in Ireland. And he wrote to his friend Erasmus Darwin. And again, a small little story. Erasmus Darwin was writing a letter to Richard Lovell Edgeworth at his desk in his home in Lichfield when he dropped dead of a heart attack. But Richard Lovell wrote, when he married Frances Beaufort, his final wife, she was 30 years younger than him, and she was a sister of Admiral Beaufort of the Windscale fame. And another quirk in it was that Sir Francis Beaufort himself was married to a daughter of Richard Lovell Edgeworth. And he wrote to Darwin, he said, "I'm going to be married to a young lady of small fortune and large accomplishments. Compared to my age, much youth, not quite 30, and more prudence, some beauty, more sense, uncommon talents, more uncommon temper, liked by my family, loved by me. If I can say all these 3 years hence, shall I not have been a fortunate, not to say a wise man?" So I'd now like to call on Paul McVeigh. Paul has a very extensive bio. I said to him earlier on, I wasn't going to say too much about him, that you could read about him in Catalan. We're delighted to invite him here to Edgeworthstown. Paul began his writing career in Belfast before moving to London. He is an award-winning writer, and his work has been performed widely on BBC Radio, the Edinburgh Festival and the West End, where I presume Noodle's character Bella performed at some stage. So we're now going to call on Paul to announce the winners and afterwards to give us a flavour of his own work. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me here and for our lovely lunch today. We had a great class this morning, people learning about short stories. I came to short stories quite late in life and completely fell in love with them. And I think that writers often say that they're the hardest form to write. How can you make an impact in such a short space of time, 4 or 5 pages, and leave someone feeling like they've had an experience. And there's a writer, A.L. Kennedy, says, short stories are small, like a bullet is small. And I think that's kind of our goal, when you write a short story. It's kind of like a punch. Sometimes it's a hug, but most likely it's going to be something that has a kind of powerful impact on you. And that's the goal in all the stories that are in the winning that won today have that. They all make an impact. They're all of a really high quality. I think that a testing to the prize really is the quality of the stories that were entered. I think that quite often as a judge, and I've judged, the prize for the biggest prize for the short story collection in Europe, and I've judged the Dylan Thomas Prize, and these stories that I read were as good as anything that entered there. So it's a testimony to the prize itself. That people want to send their work in to this. Because there are other prizes you can send your work to. So that was great. It was great to read stuff that I really enjoyed. I think that short stories are more akin to poetry than a novel, actually, you know, because you really don't have a lot of space, and you have to really account for every single word, just like in a poem. You can't just go off on little flights of fantasy for, you know, a page or two, or tell you a backstory about something that doesn't matter. So, you know, you really have to have that intensity. And I think that the stories that you're going to hear some of now, they've got some things in common, which is they're all very brave. And I think that each judge will bring their own personal tastes to choosing things. And in that sense, I always say people don't lose heart if you don't get picked for some sort of prize, you know, because it is quite arbitrary in the end, you know, and even down to who comes first, second, third. I mean, there were days I woke up and thought, you know, second place was first place, the third place was first place, and second place was third. And you know, because the sheer quality of the work. And at the end of the day, you know, all these stories are winners, and all of them are that good that they could have won on a different day. So I think that's important to remember. If you did enter, for example, and you're here and you didn't get it, it's just a matter of personal choice. You just got to keep going and sending your work out. It was great to hear there's poetry as well tonight, because I've heard her short stories and their novels at different events, so it was really lovely to hear that earlier on. So that even just coming here, dragging away here just to hear that was an absolute pleasure as well. So that was a treat to thank you for. And so on to the stories, right? I found that I'm going to ask the third place to come up and read first, and then I'm going to sort of say a tiny intro to each one before they come up. So in third place, and I've got the names written down here, is Martin Keaton. And Mark's going to come up now. This covers such strong themes of divorce, mental illness, and a rare male perspective in the short story. Quite often you'll find in short story classes, for example, it's 99% of women who are writing the stories, and quite a massive percent of women's stories that you're reading. So hearing something from a different perspective, and a character that's complex and that I didn't know whether I liked or supported, but feel that I should, but maybe I should be secret about it because I think I'd get in trouble if I've said I sort of supported it. So I think anyone that makes you feel that kind of complexity is a winner. And, you know, is someone who's manipulated you and the story and the narrative in a way that is a winning one. And just give me a round of applause there, and you come up and make me bits.
Thanks very much, Paul. Just say a few words, settle my voice first. This story that card is one that's gone out a few times, to echo what Paul said, and not found a home. So I'm really thankful to Paul for giving it a home at last. And so what I read is a scene, just one scene that gives a sense of the character and situation. She comes to a taxi, out of her head, her bleary face on the screen of the entry phone. A fat guy with a taxi medallion around his neck is standing beside her. "Pay the taxi, let me in and pay the taxi," she shouts. I come down and pay the guy. "Should she be drinking in her condition?" he asks. "It's not my kid," I say, "not that it's any of your business, buddy." He forces his way past me and calls up the stairs and says, "Are you all right there, love?" Then he turns to me and he says, You calm down, right? Are you a cop?" "No, but I can fucking call them, right?" "Okay," I say, "I'm calm." The world takes a side, holds me responsible for everything. I hear a bottle fall on the floor as I walk up the stairs. She's lying on the couch as it gloves out on the carpet. "Fuck it," she says. "I hate being like this." "What? Drunk?" I ask her. "Fucking pregnant." I tell her I'm tired and not up to the drama. After she's had her drink, I drive her home. "I need money," she says. "Your payment doesn't come in until next week, and I need money. I had to come here, leave the kids and come here to get some money. You made me do that. I've blocked her number on my phone. You need to go to an ATM right now and get me 800. She hangs on my shoulder as I get the money. We must look like lovers. I take her to her place. I look in at my sleeping kids before I go. Thank you.
Can't swear in front of our lady. Sorry, I just don't know what's going to happen, you know. But unfortunately, I mean, the stories I've chosen are brave stories, and they're strong, and they make brave choices about the language and the people that they talk about. People that are often ignored in stories and in the nicer world that we live in. And there can be a sort of whitewashing, literally, of character and story and voice. And we read just such a lot of stories that are about nice people and gentle stories of, that are kind of, well, maybe kind of decades old. There are new voices and there are new ways of telling stories, and there's people whose voices have been ignored, people who are poor, people who live in, whose language isn't pretty, whose lives aren't pretty. They're actually quite ugly in a way, but actually I think that what people forget that there's beauty in everyone's lives, even if they don't sound in a nice way or speak in a nice voice, that they're equally, it's equally important that their voice is heard and their stories are told. And this is another story which really, it's a story that really stood out for me. It's not even working class boys, but the underclass. People who are out of the system, people who don't work, who are homeless, people who don't have anything other than waiting for money to come through, so that and they're addicts and outsiders. And I think that it's necessary for us to widen our experience, and we often ignore those people on the street or who hang out in that part of time, and we certainly don't read about them in terms of how they tell their lives. We might read opinion pieces about whether we think they should be there or not, or moved on or not. But it's another thing about hearing what their actual lives are like. So I think this is a great story that was written in a very difficult second person as well, and it's an excellent achievement. And it's Even McCann. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul, and thanks to the Society for having a short story competition. And it's really exciting for me to be second, so thank you. And again, I feel like I'm going to be struck down then, but he swore, so I'm alright. So this is called Blowing Sky to Galway, and I'm just going to read you the start of it. You've only been in Galway for a few weeks, but she has been here for a few months, so she teaches you all she knows. You came here to get a job, and she came here to do a secretarial class at the technical college. You can't picture it when she tells you this. You imagine her split-ended, hennaed hair would get tangled in the typewriters. The grey skyline is thronged with cranes, and the air shudders with the reverberation of rock breakers in the daytime, so you stay in bed until 6 o'clock every day except Wednesdays. On Wednesdays you collect your dole, then you do your weekly shopping in the Londis on Father Griffin Road, where butter vouchers are treated like cash. You buy the cheapest cuts of chicken, run the gauntlet of the cross-eyed butcher and his leering about thighs and legs. You throw in a few wings if you laugh along with him. Then you roll up your eyes and you give him the finger when he turns to wave him. On the way to the till, you stand with your back to her to provide vanish into her velvet patchwork bag. She got the bag in the cerebral palsy charity shop. You buy a leopard skin coat there for £5 to go with the leggings and the vest top and the red bra from Penny's, all bottomed off with your faithful black Doc Martens. You laugh at the girls in the high heels. The only time you have to get a cab is if you're so gasping for cigarettes in the night that you have to go to the 24-hour Esso on the dual carriageway. In the evenings, you spend hours getting ready, putting on the makeup that she shoplifts from Roach's stores. You listen to the Red Hot Chili Peppers or the Prodigy, smoking joints and drinking cans. You keep a towel by the window, that you wrap around your hair before you stick your head out if someone rings the doorbell. If they look like they might wreck your head, you say you're in the shower and slam down the sash before the smoke escapes or they hear the music. Then it's off to Mixers or the King's Head or Cullinan's, where you flirt with middle-aged men who might buy you a drink and then set the bouncers on them if they come on too strong. Then out to Salt Hill, where it's free into the castle or the Warwick at 1 in the morning. You dance beside the speaker and your hands join in communion with the strobe lights. As the crowd are herded out the door, you finish off the best of the discarded drinks. Then come out onto the street for the banter and the fights until the last of the clubbers have left in taxis. You wait near Mighty Mac's for the leftover food they throw out the back. Then home between the edge of the prom and the marsh, where you rob a clothesline or two and pick up a few bits to go with the coats you take from the clubs, or just sheets and towels to save you from paying for the laundrette.
Such a brilliant story, and if you read on, it's really is an excellent piece of work, and really could have won this or another prize. It's really excellent. Yeah, I read a lot of stories. For one, editorship, I think, of Southward, I remember writing 850 for just one edition of picking 4 stories out. I've read for prizes, the London Prize, and I've set up on the Short Story Festival, where 85 writers from around the world, and some writers I read 5 collections of theirs, plus all of theirs. So I read a lot of short stories. So I'm very hard to please. I'm even harder to impress, and it's almost impossible to surprise me. I think this story begins quite gently, and then it goes places that just give you that chill, and at the end as well, you know, a writer on occasion makes a choice that is just not the choice that anyone else makes, or most people, or 99.9% of other writers make. And though that's the mark of a writer, that's the mark of a writer who's going to make it, who's going to write something important one day that we'll all know. And I've no doubt that all 3 of the writers that were chosen tonight, partly because I'm actually quite pleased with myself for picking them, that I think that all 3 of these writers are destined to be published and in an impressive way in the future. I'm really excited that you're going to hear a bit of this. I think that, you know, to really feel it, you would need to read the whole story, but I hope that you will enjoy this little snippet that Marie Kenny is going to read of her prize-winning first place story. Marie, are you here? I think you're here this morning. I saw you. There you go. Come on, you. Well done.
Thank you, Paul and the Society. Like Martin, this story has done its rounds, and I'm delighted to hear that it's found a home. I'm going to read basically the end of it, so here we go. Oh, sorry, the narrator was a 13-year-old girl. It got to be a pattern then. It didn't matter if it was raining or not. Same time, most days, the bus would haul away and Danny would pull up. Without a word, I'd open the door and get in. We took to driving around. Soon I began to get off the bus at an earlier stop, stating a new interest in walking to quell my mother's suspicions. Danny would be waiting. His jeep would appear from nowhere as the bus disappeared from sight. On Friday we took to go into the privacy of his house. It's Poets' Day, he'd say as he followed me around the empty house. Poets' Day? Yeah. Piss off early, tomorrow's Saturday. He'd laugh and I'd smile, not sure if he was teasing me or not. And I would look at him as he'd take my hands and lead me to the back room, wondering what it was that was in me that held his interest. It wasn't long before my mother got wind of where I was. I reckon it was brief that ratted us out. She was like that. Go to confession, Mum said Saturday morning over the iron. I will not. For your granddad, Rachel, please. He's worried. The iron is his concern. Thinking back now, the scandal made me a bit of a celebrity. The Gardaí called to my house, Noreen, the only female gardener in parish, sat in the good front room with me and Mam, asking questions that made me squirm inside and out. Mam held my hand the entire time Noreen was there. I concentrated on the growing slickness between her palms and wished they'd both let me go. I didn't say a word. Grandad couldn't bring himself to look at me. "It'll be all right," Mam said every time. I was off school for weeks. A counsellor from Dublin began calling to the house once a week and gradually explained the wrong that Danny had done to me. Danny disappeared. His face was in the papers. I cut it out and hid it under my mattress, only looking at it in small hours when I could hear Grandad snoring and Mam's soft puffs coming from the room next door. They found all sorts of weird stuff in Danny's house after he left. Again, Noreen arrived. "Did he take photos of you? Did he take videos of you? Were there other men? Were there other children?" Endless questions I wouldn't answer. I heard they found photos of other girls younger than me. In the photos, the girls were doing all sorts of things. The sick feeling in my stomach sent me to bed early. Mam sat in the duvet beside me. "None of this is your fault, Rachel. You're not responsible for those other 4 girls." Her eyes filled up. "Jesus, if anyone's to blame, it's me for not paying more attention to my own child." There was no way to explain to her that it was jealousy making me sick. It's been 2 years now since Danny left. The house remains unfinished, empty, soulless. I look through its windows searching, and at night I twist and turn and search some more. Thank you.
Again, I suppose the rewards is the prizes, so I call on Angela to present the prizes to the winners, and John will maybe take a photograph. Just when I was saying this, there's an exhibition behind us. We in the society, we've been trying to spread the word of the Edgeworths, and last year the early yes put this exhibition together, and it was on display in Dublin for 2 months last year, and they kindly gave it to the society, so I'd just like to acknowledge the early yes. No.
Sorry. Okay, I was going to read you the short story, but I changed my mind. So I'm going to read you the beginning of my novel. Just a point I made earlier on about arbitrary competitions and things. I don't know, just to pose the person for this saying that their stories have done the rounds and hadn't made it somewhere else. It just proves it to you, you know. You just keep going. Don't ever something small by someone's opinion change the course of your future, you know. Okay, so this is a novel called Good Son, and it's set in Belfast and during the Troubles, and it's the voice of a 10-year-old boy. That's all you really need to know. I was born the day the Troubles started. Wasn't I, masses, me? It was you that started them, son, says she, and we all laughed. Well, except our Paddy. And I put that down to his pimples and his general ugliness. It must be hard to be happy when you've a face like that. I could almost feel sorry for him. Steamy, flower-smelling disinfectant fills my nose and joins the sweet-tasting frosties in my mouth as Ma passes by with a tin bucket and a garden brush. Now, my Ma only cleans the yard when something's up, and that would be my dad, as usual. "Do you want a hand, Mummy?" says me. "No, son," says she, disappearing out the back. She didn't even look at me. I'm worried about her after last night. "Do you want a hand?" Our Paddy mimics me in a girl's voice. "You electricity. I tell my mummy and you," I say. "I tell my mummy and you," he does again. give her the "we just hate him, don't we" look. She gives me the "yes we do, he's a big fat pig" look back. I was taught how to give looks by a monk on Cave Hill. I trained like a Jedi Knight, but my lightsaber was my actual face. I became Luke Skywalker. My mission: to defend all weaklings and youngest ones in families against the evil that is older brothers, and wee Maggie is now my disciple. To test her telepathy training, I send, "Don't worry about him, because he's going to be knocked down by a car, then a lorry will run over his head, making his eyes pop out." Wee Maggie smiles. She got it. I think we're actually twins, born years apart in some CIA supergenetic test tube type experiment. Paddy gets up, leaving his dirty bowl on the table like he's King Farouk. "Don't you believe that for Mummy?" I say. "Mummy's voice," says he. Paddy grabs his blazer in the back of the chair, and I raise my eyebrows at wee Maggie like victory is mine. There's mess in my mastery table though, so I run to the sink and wet the cloth and rush back before Ma comes in and kills somebody. Kill somebody equals me. Because even though I'm the good son of the family, I get the blame if wee Maggie does anything wrong because she's the youngest and I look after her. Wee Maggie could set me on fire and Ma would kick my head in for letting our Maggie near matches. Wiping the table, I see my reflection in the smoked glass. I look like the black babies we do collection for at school. Now, I usually give them creamed rice. We get free tinge in the community centre because we're poor and because there's somewhere, like a place called Food Mountain, and it's made from tins of creamed rice and corned beef. I think it's in Switzerland. One day, I will be president of all Ireland. I'll be so kind and good. I'll bring all black babies to Belfast, where there's free food for poor people, and they can live in the new houses they're building at the bottom of our street. Now, I've only seen black people on the TV, apart from the ones starving in Africa. There's ones America stole to make slaves, which isn't very nice. But at least they give them some clothes, because you wouldn't be allowed to walk around America with no clothes on. Or Belfast. Maybe they live with the Protestants. I've already seen the Protestants on the TV too. "Mickey, stop spacing out," wee Maggie tells me. "You're going to be late for school." "Ma, I'm away on," I shout out to the yard. "Did you get washed?" my ma shouts back. "Aye." And I look at wee Maggie through the doorway, pretend to pick my nose and wipe it on my jumper. She laughs into her hand because she thinks I'm like one of them from the TV, you know, like Laurel and Hardy or Abbott and Costello. We play them sometimes. She says it's not fair that we don't play any funny girl ones, but I say it's not my fault that girls aren't funny. Because if they were, wouldn't they be on the TV and have their own shows and things? I get on my horse and I ride him, dodging the chair and the table, swerve around the half open door into the living room, sideward around my dad's chair, and then past the sofa. "Champion, no wonder horse," I sing, saluting the TV, and then I gallop out the front door, wee Maggie running after me. "Don't be doing that on the street, Mickey," wee Maggie says, like she's the one that looks after me. "I'm not stupid," I say, "go you back in." And I push her back into the living room. The waste ground in front of the house becomes an open prairie, and the old knockdown houses on the right are now an abandoned gold rush mining truck in the Wild West, and I ride Champion off into the sunset. "Mickey Donnelly, what time do you call us?" says Mr. McManus. I'm in the doorway looking at my feet. "Sorry, sir." He's a funny freaker, Mr. McManus, because he's saying that, but I know he doesn't really care due to my telepathic abilities. A power like mine comes in very handy, so you know when someone's really being real. He's pretending to be annoyed, so I'm pretending to be sorry. "Go and sit down, Donnelly," Mr. McManus says, going back to his reading. There they are. It's The Hard Men. Starring wee Twin Macaulay, Big Twin Macaulay, and co-starring Monkey Mackerlane. It's a film about stupid people, how they do bad at school and beat the shite out of everybody that's got a brain cell. Come to cinema near you. Wee Twin Macaulay is staring at me while chewing a straw from one of our bottles of milk. He must have nicked it, because we haven't even had our milk yet. That's the kind of bad thing he does. He's shooting pure hate at me from his good eye. The other is pointing towards our display of Carrickfergus Castle. The bendy eye followed a bullet that grazed his face, and it decided not to come back. Well, so would I if I was that eye, having a look at that face in the mirror. There it is. Status report, Sean Close, aka Trinidad, under observation, moved my street last week. Posh, therefore probably a Protestant double agent. As who's ever heard of a posh Catholic? He has no mates, he thinks he's great. Conclusion, his guns. Sir, can I go to the toilet? I say. Donnelly, you shouldn't interrupt someone, it's very rude. I say. And I try to squeeze my belly, and it's about to explode. And then I say, oh, I'm going to age, and it's going to kill me like that. You know, like it's agony, sir. And oh God, I'm going to die. Hold on, I'm only acting. I actually believed myself there. I'm not good. I should definitely be an actor when I grow up. Sarah waves me out like a bored king. In the corridor, the class doors are open and the teachers look out as I rush past. At Mrs. O'Halloran's, I slow down and I look in. We have a secret, me and Mrs. O'Halloran. She looks up and smiles. Well, if it isn't Michael Donnelly. Come in a moment, she coos at me like a dove. I'm in love with Mrs. O'Halloran. I was the only one she got to take her notes to Mr. McDermott. She used to call me her wee current bun, her wee pet, she said. She said it was different, not like the other boys. I bought her a necklace on my last day in first class. It cost me one whole 50p. And it had a little golden heart, and on the back it said, I love you. Now class, I want you all to have a look at Mr. Michael Donnelly, she says, her hand on my shoulder, making the skin fizz. He's one of, in fact, he is the finest pupil ever to come out of Holy Cross Boys. Now, I'm completely scalded. I take a massive reddener, my face is burning like a slapped tart. Said, man, piece of grammar school. It doesn't surprise me at all. You see, class, this is what you can achieve with this school with hard work and determination. She beams at me. You know, she's right about me. I am determined. I've got a plan. Get away from this school. Get smart. Get to America. Get rich. Bring me Maggie, my mummy, over to live with me in my penthouse. Thank you, Mrs. O'Halloran, says me, in my good boy voice, to prove to her class she's right about me. You'll be sorely missed around here, she says, smiling. She whispers, make sure you come see me before you leave today, won't you, Michael? Yes, Mrs. O'Halloran, says me. Now I'm completely on fire like a human petrol bomb. I kick the leg of her desk, smile and speed walk out of there. I do want to grow up and make all my dreams come true, but mostly I just want to be back in P3 with Mrs. O'Halloran. Thank you.